Hello and welcome all into the MO podcast. As always, you're here with me, Consummatious Ant.
And me, Atreya.
And today we are continuing with the 10th day of the nightmares before Christmas. And on this day, my true love gave to me a disappearance at sea.
You did the rhyming thing again.
See, I did. I've done them for. Not the last one. I might not have done it for the next one. Anyway, yeah. There was a point where I tried. It was only like 2 episodes, but I mean, you know.
Is it when you ran out of you were just like so many Stellas in, and you were just like, rhymes with toast. Fuck it, I don't know.
It was definitely when I was all inclusive, and the waiter just kept bringing me beers.
Why didn't you ask the waiter? What rhymes with pineapple? It's an all-inclusive service.
Yeah. Can you just write this for me? So, imagine the scene. You're ticking off one of the items on your bucket list, and that's scuba diving in the Coral Sea in Australia. Now, you've seen all the little fishes. Later on, you may see some big ones, but at the minute, you're quite content with that one with the stupid eyes. Nemo, Dory, all of them little things that are swimming around you. You decide to...
What's the one with the stupid eyes?
That one that everyone takes a picture of. Like the clownfish. Not clownfish, because that's Nemo, but the one with the eyes on the side, and they just appear in these videos.
All right, okay, I think it's kind of cute.
Exactly, see. Stupid eyes. You decide that your time is up and you decide to surface. You break the water surface and there's nothing. There's no boat. There's no people. You're all alone in the middle of the sea. Now, this happened to Tom and Eileen Lonergan in 1998. So, this has actually been made into a film. Quite a couple of these have been made into films, to be honest with you. I think it's called Deep Ocean. Can't remember. But Thomas Lonergan was born in December 1964, and he met Eileen Hans at Louisiana State University. The two dated and they were married in 1988. Now, Eileen was an avid diver and she got Tom interested in the hobby. Eileen was quite strong with her scuba diving. Tom wasn't so much, but he'd always go out with Eileen. After a year of serving in the Peace Corps in Fiji, the couple were stopping off in Australia for a bit of relaxation before they arrived back in America and had to start living grown-up lives. I mean, I know the Peace Corps isn't that easy, but getting a job, 9 to 5 and all that.
And they thought being under several tons of water pressure under the ocean in the middle of nowhere was relaxation.
It depends. I mean, if you're into that sort of thing.
Get the latest Richard Osman book, you pricks.
Yeah, go on the beach. And it is Australia as well. Why would you go there? Everything there kills you.
Everything tries to eat you.
Yeah.
And there's not even any hobbits.
Yeah, because they're in New Zealand. But
yeah,
in Queensland, they decided to take on their diving experience that would be their last. Now, Queensland is home to the Great Barrier Reef, which is bigger than New Zealand. But I've taken that quote directly off the Australian government website, so I think it's a tiny little bit of a flex on their behalf. Just because
New Zealand's so titch.
Yeah.
Even our Great Barrier Reef's bigger, and New Zealand are going, still got hobbits though, ain't we?
Indeed. But at 70 million football fields large, it is pretty big. It stretches 2,300 kilometres along the Queensland's coastline, and it has one of the most diverse, rare and endangered species of anywhere in the world. Now, the reef employs approximately 69,000 people. It contributes 5.4 billion Australian dollars, so probably not that much, a year. and has over 2 million tourists visit the area every year. Now,
it's full of endangered species, things that are about to go extinct. Let's send millions of tourists down there every year and see what happens.
Yeah,
There's a reason China put a screen between us and their pandas.
Yeah, come along with your beer cans and your fag ends and have fun.
Yes.
So there's a lot of care put into the area, and more importantly, they want the tourists leaving this piece of paradise in the state they found it. So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of regulations that go into it. But in 1998, when Tom and Eileen were visiting, wasn't really the same as it is today. I mean, this case is kind of one of the reasons why it's not the same, as you can imagine. But even in 1997, 1.5 million tourists visited the area.
I was going to say, how did you get a half a tourist? Was it just a really short
That was the sharks. So there's no actual accurate figures on injuries and fatalities during this time on the 660 plus commercial operations in the area. Now, at best, the figures that I could find were there was one fatality every 430,000 dives. But when this is compared to other dive sites around the world, Japan comes out the worst, which is 6.5 per 100,000. And this is from the Queensland's government's website, so it may be a little bit skewed. Also, one of the issues with having these kind of statistics is that because before 1998, hospitals and medical centres didn't differentiate between commercial and recreational diving. So if someone got brought in, they've been eaten by a shark on a tour, the person that drops them off, obviously the tour operators have got a vested interest, and they could just say, they're on the beach.
We found him like this.
Found him. Just by the side of the road, it's weird. That's not a shark's tooth.
But, I mean, like, say if you went on a diving excursion or whatever, it surely, like, some of the accidents aren't necessarily the fault of the providers. Like, if you're a dick and you go, oxygen, mate, I can breathe underwater for like 7.5 minutes. Kate Winslet, Titanic, eat your fucking heart out, yeah? That's not their fault. That's people being a dick.
Of course.
How can you say that that's because of them?
No, 100%, of course. Without a shadow of a doubt, people probably thought they could dive deeper than anyone. They come up too quick, get the pens. But I will say that when
I've seen Aquaman.
When we went on a dive in Egypt, there was actually like a restaurant there. So a little.
I'm sorry, what? Right, okay, hold on. I'm already picking point. Like, I'm pulling this story apart, like left, right, and centre here. Right, okay. Firstly, you went on a dive in Egypt.
Yeah, which
is notorious for its deserts and sand and lack of water other than the Nile.
Damn, been caught out.
And secondly, you went on a dive and there was a restaurant, like, underwater.
Do you know what? I'll have to check, and I will put a caption.
Made the whole thing up
on this. It may have been Brazil.
Is this because I had to point out that Africa is mostly sand?
I'm sure. In fairness, we did, when we were in Egypt, we did go on 4x4s through the sand dunes. So.
Yeah, that checks out. Yeah.
No, it was Brazil. It's all coming back to me now. Because we were snorkeling, and I didn't put sunscreen on my back, and I burnt all my back because obviously the front of me was in the water, but my back wasn't. Yes, it was Brazil.
Because back then you didn't go orange.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, they had this like restaurant boat, and we were in these tubes, and they would like be giving you food and drink at the place. So, ironically, it was prawns that they were feeding you, which is goes against all of it. But Brazil's Wild West anyway, so so's Egypt. But
yeah, this is my no words face.
Yeah. So, on the 25th of January 1998, 26 people had signed up for a diving tour with a company called Outer Edge. The boat skipper took the tourists 25 miles out to sea to enjoy the sights of the reef. Now, the divers changed into their gear at the site. They left any possessions on the boat and they jumped into the deep blue sea. Now, the dive was scheduled to last 40 minutes. Then they would all regroup, share their stories and head back to Queensland. Now, this plan worked out for 24 people that was on that tour. But unfortunately, Tom and Elaine, when they broke the surface of their dive, all they could see was blue sky and miles of empty ocean.
How many people were on the dive, did you say?
26.
That's a lot of people. Did they not notice when they were down there, like the ocean around them is suddenly bereft of people?
Not really, because I think if you're in your own little world, you don't stay in a group. You go off and you do stuff.
Yeah, but you don't go miles and miles away, do you?
No, but I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't say. Now, the couple's possessions that they left on the boat weren't discovered for 2 days. Yeah. Yeah. So
I have issue with that.
Yeah, this was after the skipper, Jeffrey Nan, came across them while cleaning. So
Jeffrey Nan?
Yeah. Nairn.
Oh, right, okay. Jeffrey Nan.
Yes, not like naan bread.
Like naan bread.
No, not like naan. Like Irish, I suppose. Naan.
I guess it's naan if you're posh. It's still a naan bread if you're posh. It's a naan bread. Narn, did you say?
Nairn.
Oh, nan. It's a nan bread.
Nan. Okay.
It's a nan bread.
He raised the alarm and an air and sea rescue was launched, which included the Navy and even civilian vessels joined in. But they never found Tom or Eileen. Now, they did find some of the couple's scuba gear that had washed up on the shore, and this included a dive slate, which is kind of like an underwater whiteboard which they used to communicate. Now, this contained an SOS request. The note said, "To anyone who can help us, we have been abandoned on Agincourt Reef, 25th of January 1998, 03 p.m. Please help us. Come to rescue us before we die. Help."
And they wrote it on a whiteboard?
Yeah. So it's an underwater dive board, so it's not like a whiteboard, but it's something that divers have to communicate with each other. So like if they see a shark, they just write shark on it, and then because obviously you can't speak.
If they see a shark, then they hold the board up in front of the shark and go, "Please send help. We've been abandoned."
Well, yeah. I mean,
who are they hoping is going to read it? There's nobody else down there. That's why they're abandoned, right?
Yeah. But they just let it drift off, and hopefully someone was going to find it before they disappeared. Optimism.
You know, messages in bottles take like 70 years to get to. Okay, yeah. Okay.
These two had optimism.
Clearly, yeah.
So their bodies have never been found, but as with most disappearance cases, your lot, the tinfoil hat people, have some kind of speculation that goes on about this. Now, it's been claimed that this was a suicide attempt because Tom had wrote in his diary that he was depressed and wanted to die. Don't really think that's any... He's spent a year doing the Peace Corps. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying, like...
No.
People get depressed in paradise and people write stuff down. I don't think one leads to the other.
It's a bit of an extreme way to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, I'll just stay down here until I run out of oxygen and suffocate to death painfully and slowly.
Yeah, there's so much easier ways to go.
And I'll take my wife with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was another story going around that they were fed up of their lives and they wanted to start afresh, so they engineered their disappearance. Now, this was kind of bolstered by a ridiculous claim that a dive captain, the next day, he'd taken out a boat of mainly Italian tourists and he'd heard a couple of American voices on the way back into the harbour. Now,
with one of them mustaches and curly wigs.
Yeah.
You think we're getting away with it? I do not know.
I mean, would you not question that straight away? Like, if you were him, or you just go, nah, it's fine. It's fine.
I don't, like, would there not be records of if they were, like, in debt or, like, a reason that they wanted to just start afresh? Because you could just move.
Exactly.
Just move house and start fresh. You don't have to.
But to be honest with you, what they're starting afresh from? They are starting afresh because they've been in Fiji for a year. They're going back to America. So this makes absolutely no sense, this. And as soon as the captain heard them American voices, didn't he go, wait a minute, I'm sure these are all Italians. What's happening here? Where's Mario? What's going on? Like, did he not question that, or did he just go, off you go, people, it's fine?
I mean, what's to say that there wasn't two Italians that had happened to live in America for a good portion of their lives that had picked up the accent?
Exactly.
Or maybe it was just a couple of Italians goofing around practicing their American accents.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
It could have been one of many, many things. Now, Nyan, the skipper, was charged with unlawful killing after the coroner, Noel Noonan, stated the skipper should be vigilant for the safety of passengers and ensure safety measures are carried out. He added, when you combine the number of mistakes and the severity of the mistakes, I am satisfied a reasonable jury would find Mr. Nairn guilty of manslaughter on criminal evidence. Nairn was found...
This is... Go on. So this is sentencing this guy, this skipper, because he didn't notice two people's bags and he didn't notice people with American accents the next time he, like...
Yeah.
I don't think you can charge somebody with murder for somebody else being a bit dumb.
Well, now, yeah. But Nairn was found not guilty by a jury, so everything that Noonan said was swing and a miss for him there. His company did go out of business after it was fined due to negligence and the government started to clamp down on this industry. Now, one of the new safety measures that they included was having headcount confirmations when you went out and when you came back in, which you think would have been the first fucking thing that they did.
I was going to say... That's where Home Alone fell flat. You would have thought people would have learned from that.
Exactly.
No.
No. So this was the major thing, and this is why the coroner was gunning after Nairn, because he didn't take due care of the passengers that were in his safety. Like, he could have just done a head count, like gone, right, you're here, they're not here. Where are they? Let's wait a bit or dive in and have a swim around to see where they are. It's not like
that's fair.
It's not like Nairn actually went, oh, well, 4:00. It's not like he's the train service.
A bus driver.
Yeah, he's not. He's. Do you know what I mean? If he would have noticed, if these measures would have been in place, I don't think he would have gone, oh, fuck them. Swim 25 miles back. I've got places to be.
Day out to Scarborough, and they're like, well, I did say 4, so fuck is.
Yeah. So they also, the Queensland government also brought in new identification methods after dives. So this was like, yeah, you're the person you're saying you're kind of being, which I don't understand. Like, you're not going to get a different person try to get on your boat, but...
It's a mermaid!
Yeah. You know, I think they were just trying to cover all bases here because they'd kind of messed up a little bit and they clamped down. But Open Water is the film that is based on this story.
How can they have made a full film when they don't know what's happened?
Again, I think this is a little bit like Cocaine
Artistic.
Bear. I think it's artistic license that's being taken because obviously, I mean, I will say this: my mum has seen it and she's described it to me, and she says like at one point they're in the sea and sharks are swimming around them. We don't know that. That's never happened. They're just kind of trying to.
I would assume maybe it's like they lost track of time. They like came up and they were like, "Oh fuck, everybody's gone," and then they kind of like succumb to, you know, dehydration or starvation or hypothermia, whatever, and then they floated down into the sea and they were eaten by sea life.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be. I'm not tarring the sharks with this one. Okay, it could have been any sea life. Any sea life will eat dead meat.
Yeah, indeed. Crabs will. They'll go to town on that.
Yes.
As well, after this, dive. I don't know how to describe them, but like dive sites have put up structures along the reef now. After this, so if this did happen again, then you could find one of these dive structures, climb up, and at least you're not in the water. You're still going to have to deal with hypothermia, no food, when the sun comes up, blistering and stuff like that. But it gives you a little bit more of a chance of survival.
Well, see, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, like, well, do they not have, like, them big nets that go all the way down? That's like, oh, hey, no, this is as far as I'm allowed to go. I can't go any further now. I best turn around so I don't get lost.
No, that's only on the beach.
Not.
They're shark protectors for the beaches. So they're put out.
Why didn't they think about having them as people protectors so that people are protected from themselves and their stupidity?
Yes, but then like that's unfair on the sea life who live there. We don't.
Well, then just have a really small area. Like, yes, it's like this is how big the Great Barrier Reef is, but you're only allowed this
to see this little
100 meters.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think we should be using it for tourist things. It's a living ecosystem, and you don't want people swimming around farting and throwing beer cans
pissing and shitting in the water and
Exactly. I just don't think it is. Not that I'm saying they deserve to be left there at all, but on that bombshell, this has been the MO podcast with me, Contumacious Ant.
And me, Atreya.
Thank you all so much, and we shall see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
The MO podcast. The MO podcast. The MO podcast. The MO podcast.